Once again, this is Dr. Reynold Varela. What we have today is a 30-item multiple choice test as a practice for taking the licensure examination for psychometrician and psychologists as well. It might help them look into the item. It might possibly be included in the licensure examination on both category. Uh, the type of questions here are just for practice purposes. So let me begin with item 1, like what we are doing before. I'll be reading the item and possibly might make mistakes in my analysis of the item. So I want you to write it down in a piece of paper, possible answers to each of the item as we go along. I will be reading the 30 item one by one, and you can write your answers on a piece of paper as we uh, go along with the reading of item. These are, by the way, situational questions that might possibly be asked, not literally, not word for word, but in some cases, it might be quite similar to the type of questions that they might be asking in the coming board exam. Let's begin with item 1. A researcher conducts a pilot study for a new 100-item test and finds that 15 items have a low correlation with the total score. What should the developer do? Revise, discard the items to improve internal consistency, keep them as they are to maintain the test length, ignore the results since it was only a pilot study, score the test without adjusting the items. So we have a 15 item that doesn't correlate with the total test score. What are we going to do with this 15 item? Obviously, we should eliminate or remove those items that do not correlate with the total test score. And that's what we usually do in test development. You are choosing a test for an industrial applicant screening for IO testing. The test costs $50 per person, but only increases hiring accuracy by 1%. You choose not to use it. You are evaluating utility, standardization, bias, content validity. Of course, there will be an increase of 1% in accuracy. That is a question of how useful the test would be for the company. The practicality, why do we have to use that if it would give us only 1% accuracy in the hiring of reliable applicants? So therefore, you choose not to use it because you are evaluating the utility of the test. A student receives a score of 85 on a test. The standard error of measurement is 3. What is the correct interpretation? The student true score likely falls within a range around 85. The test is 90% reliable. The student is 85% likely to pass. The student true score is exactly 85. Definitely not D. But if we say that by 1% corresponds to a 90% confidence interval. By 2%, 90. The first one is 90%. The second is 95% confidence interval. And the third would be 99% confidence interval. So, most likely, the student's score likely falls within a range around 85. The test is 97% reliable. So I would go. Also, in this case, I would go either A or B. But the question is, what is most likely B? Uh, the true score, because SAM of 85 at 3 would give us A. Most likely, I go to B. Okay? So, the test is 97 reliable, not quite. That SEM is not a percentage reliability coefficient. So the correct answer is around 85%. So we missed that particular item. So it is somewhat within the range of 85 at 3, because I'm thinking that by 3, by 1, it is 90%. By 2, it will be 95% confidence interval, and 99% would go to 3. But in this case, the question just goes around, falls what within the 85. That is the score that falls within that. This is not quite a difficult question, but we'll miss it. So that is a learning for us to learn from not getting it, from not getting the correct answer. You reject a test for a rural population because the normative group consists entirely of urban executive. You are justifying your decision based on lack of validity, high cost, the test length, normative mismatch. So it is a question of a norm based on urban executive. So we go to normative mismatch. Okay. You are developing a test for EQ, emotional intelligence. You correlate your test scores with the well established. You are testing what? So it is a question of validity, construct validity, content validity, correlating it with a your scores with established EQ scale. So when we talk about content, you examine the content of the test, but this is a correlation. So we go to construct validity. After administering 3 different tests, you synthesize the findings to create a single coherent narrative for the school. You are what you are trying to establish. Standardize the test, integrating assessment results, calculating raw performing items. So it is a collection from multiple sources, instruments. So you go to letter B. You review a test manual and find no information about how the test was developed. You conclude the manual is psychometrically sound. The item says no information, deficient in essential psychometric evidence. So there's something missing in the test manual. So you go to letter B. You calculate an item discrimination index of negative 0.30 for a specific item. What does this mean? So discrimination index of negative, it is not a good item. low ability are more likely to get it right. So baliktad. So it is a reverse. What does it mean by reverse group? That those who are not doing well, the group that are not doing well on a test are more likely to get the item correct than the upper group who is expected to do well on that test. So na item 9, a test has reliability coefficient of 0.90. It is high but fails to correlate with any real world criteria. What is your conclusion? The test is biased, the test is too short, the test is highly valid, the test is reliable but lacks validity. Obviously, we go to D. You observe that a test consistently yields lower score for a group, even when their actual ability is equal to the majority group. This indicates high reliability, potential bias, perfect validity, good utility. Possibly, we go to letter B, potential bias. Standardization of a test ensures that, ensures that every examinee receives the same procedure standard, uniformity of the procedure. 12. Why use confidence interval around a score? To eliminate the need for norms, to guess a true score, to make the report look academic, to provide a range that account for measurement error. So measurement error is always associated with confidence interval, the margin of error in which a particular score might likely fall. Okay? Go to D. What is a discriminative power of an item? Ability to distinguish high scores from low scorers. So that has been given to us, and we know that this index of discriminability. So by the term itself, it is easy to know what it is. Okay, to discriminate those who are in the upper and the lower group. What does criterion related validity assess? Theoretical structure, item coverage, consistency over time, relationship between the score and the real world outcome. So in other words, criterion, we are referring to the outcome, to the real world. If your test really measures that particular trait or that particular symptoms, those who are having those symptoms may get high level of score on your instrument. What is the mean? Open, problematic, skewed. So, it is the same as the mode. It is always too small. It is never used. Outlier, pull the mean away from the typical score. So if there are a lot of outlier in a test, so the estimate mean may become very problematic. Okay. Item analysis is critical because makes the test professional, sets the test scores, refine the test to keep only effective items, removes the need for validity. So it is item C. What is an accommodation in the context of testing? So this corresponds to the um, adjusting to remove barrier without changing the construct measured. What does floor effect imply? The floor effect implies means the low. The test scores are normally distributed. The test is too easy. The test is too difficult. The test is missing. The floor effect is the opposite of ceiling effect. So the ceiling effect, so in this case, we choose the too easy, the too difficult, because the ceiling effect is corresponds to um, the too easy, because uh, too too easy because there are a lot of examinee who get high on the test. But if it is the ceiling effect, maybe it is too difficult. I know that is a reverse understanding. And so in this case, what corresponds to the floor effect is that it refers to the when many people score at the bottom. No, there are so many of them who score at the bottom. Many people. So when many score low, that perhaps says about floor effect. Many are getting low on a test, floor effect, and the ceiling effect would be the majority. Many are able to get high score on a test, so most likely many of them are getting the test almost perfect. So that's we are clarified on the uh, ceiling and floor effect. What is keeping test material secure and ethical requirements? So this has something to do with test security, to prevent leakage and ensure the test remains valid for future use. Yan. So that's correct. Test security. Standardized scores like Z-score are useful because they allow comparison across different tests, replace reliability always. So this is letter A. What is MTMM? This is what we have explained uh, in the previous review. So talks about evaluating convergent discriminant validity when we conduct factor analysis. A test is valid if it is always consistent. What it claims is a definition of validity. What is the purpose of factor analysis? To build items, to speed up, to calculate, to identify. So this is very obvious. Why item is difficult? Why is item difficulty becomes important to determine examinees across the pool ability range, to remove bias, to increase test reliability, to keep the test short. So in analyzing the item, you might be able to differentiate examinee to those who are doing well and those who are not doing well. So we go to letter A. What is the danger of labeling a client? Label can cause stigma and a self-fulfilling prophecies. What does a negative correlation between an item that the item is likely flawed and needs revision? A split hub reliability checks for time stability. So time sampling, time in test a split hub. No, we get confused on that. So the split hub reliability is a measure of internal consistency, that the first half is correlated with the second half of the test. The Cronbach alpha estimates time consistency, internal consistency, so we go to letter D. 29. A standardized test. Key advantage is um, lower validity, subjective, high cost, comparability against norms. And last item, perfect. So no error, measurement error, no reliability, no error. A reliability coefficient of 100, which is 1.0, means no error. Almost perfect, but very unlikely. Okay? So we got 27 out of 30. It's a way for us to learn from our mistakes, and we can go back to the item again, so we can probably learn from what we have missed. So the items that we get, we are right. That means that we are continuously learning, and probably we get uh, repressed on some of the ideas that may be part or most likely be included as part of the item in the licensure exam. Again, this is Dr. Reynold Varela. I wish you good luck in your board examination. Thank you.